You will never be able to control your reality if you don't develop your ego. In this video, I'm going to show you how you've been lied to about what the ego really is. And this is one of the main reasons why your reality won't change. So I will show you how to strengthen your ego and use it to change your health, relationships, and money. And I've used these methods to help my clients earn more money, get better professional and romantic relationships, and even better their health. All from empowering the ego and using it for what it's actually meant to do. So today, I'm gonna guide you through a 4-step roadmap of what the ego is and how to use it to manifest a greater existence for yourself. The biggest problem is that you've been lied to about what the ego is. Even some of the most popular spiritual teachers do not know what the ego is or where the concept of it originates from. Due to this confusion, people are walking around suppressing their egos and then have no idea why their lives aren't working out in the way they want them to. So, let's get into it.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Not even. All right. So, I'm gonna draw my handy dandy diagram of the universe. All right. Okay. The first thing, well, let me write this how I normally write it. We are split into 3 planes: spiritual, right? Then we got mental. This is a law of correspondence. Mental, or the mind, and physical, or the body, whatever you determine with your 5 senses, physical realm. Now, what you need to understand when it comes to ego, firstly, is that your mind is split in 2. Talked about this before if you see my channel. Also, the top of the spiritual plane, initial creation spark of the universe, the all, God, Brahma, Allah, Big Bang. You get the idea. If you've been here before, you know what's up. Now, you gotta know that your mind is split in 2. You have the masculine mind and the feminine mind. The masculine mind is the conscious mind. The feminine mind is the unconscious mind. The feminine is the receiving element. Receive. The masculine mind is the projective element. What's up?
And I was saying, now I think like I just got hit with like a revelation moment where I'm like, oh, so you know, like a lot of times in like alchemy and stuff, like they'll use the symbol of the sun and the moon, like, and it's like a circle, and then it kind of like reminds me of the 2 halves of the brain.
Yeah.
And then it's like masculine, feminine, and then it's like moon and sun. Then if you look at the sun is projecting light versus the moon is
receiving the sun's light.
Receiving and reflecting light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. These things are demonstrated everywhere within reality because they are the laws of the universe. So the masculine is the projective. If I am speaking to you, that is a projective element. You hear, that is a receiving element. That is masculine and feminine energy in the universe, the 7th hermetic principle of the universe, gender. Now, what you also need to understand is that when you refer to yourself, you are referring to the 2 minds, and you don't know it yet. There is the I, okay? I, the letter I, and the me. Okay? So the I is your projected self, your masculine self. I am Seth. I am a teacher. I am an entrepreneur. I am. The I, the masculine mind, the masculine projection are your I am statements. They are what you know and believe of yourself. The me is the feminine mind. You refer to me, what is mine. These are the things you receive. These are the things that you have. These are the things that are yours. This is mine. That car is mine. That belongs to me.
You're mine. No, I'm joking.
Do you understand? So both of these projections are within you. Well, sorry, the projection and the receiving are within you. Now, how does this relate to the ego? Firstly, you have to understand where the concept of ego comes from. It comes from Sigmund Freud, who is one of the fathers of modern day psychology. Now, there's 3 elements to this idea of the ego, and I need to tell you what the other 2 are before I tell you what the ego is. So, you have the id, okay, which is ruled by the amygdala, which is the animal center of the mind, the survival center of the mind, which I will get to in a sec. And we have the super ego. Now, this is not some like mega puffed up thing. It's not like having a mega ego, like, whoa, you have a super ego. That's not what it is.
Got
Okay.
a big ego.
The id, okay, the id is your animalistic nature. Amygdala, animal. When you activate the prefrontal cortex, which I'll get to, we have animal, we have angel. Self. What does angel mean? Angel is a messenger. That is the projective element, masculine element, the projective element. You have a message that other people receive. Angel self, right? Animal self, the amygdala, the id. The amygdala, the id self, is concerned with survival and your animalistic nature. So it deals with predator. Should have given myself more space today, but it is what it is. And claiming prey, so avoiding being a predator and claiming prey. It tries to escape fear and run to fantasy. Right? So we can have that for now. Right? Predator, prey, fear, fantasy. Okay. Now, the superego is actually the projected morality, what's good and bad, from other people, from outside authorities. So this comes from other people, okay? Preachers, teachers, parents, authority figures. They create the superego. They make you think what is good and bad in the mind.
So
Okay.
they're like the morality, they give you the unattainable, or like not the unattainable, but like something to attain or
Yeah. Government lives here as well. Government, right? So you got preachers, teachers, parents, authority figures, government. They make you think what's right and wrong. And this has to do with the law of polarity, fourth Hermetic law of the universe. Your mind is always determining what it thinks is good and what it thinks is bad, and it's only going to take action based on it thinking, based on the amygdala thinking that there is more benefits than drawbacks. That's how you take action. Now, when you act out of what other people think you should do, what's actually happening here is a projection into your feminine mind from other people that you've received, okay? When you don't live up to this, you get shame and or guilt, right? Guilt. If you do live up to it, you get pride. All right? So, where's the ego come into this? The ego is actually in between the superego and the id. It is the logical mind. It is the part of your mind that activates the prefrontal cortex. It lives in between. Your ego is here, okay? And it is deciding between what you want and what feels good. The people who live in their id, which is 99% of the population, live within their id, what feels good. Oh, I don't feel like doing that. Oh, that's gonna be hard. Oh, I'm eating this food because it's tasty, even though it's gonna be unhealthy for me, etc. 99% of people live within their id, and 1% actually utilize their ego. okay, which creates the 1%. Right here, you got the 1%. Down here, you got the 99%. You got the masses. Okay? Now, so the ego has to do with I am. It has to do with what you believe of yourself, your true self, your authentic self. And it is navigating between the superego and the id. It is navigating between what you want and what feels good and what society is telling you you should do. So for instance, let's say I'm shooting this video and I have something, I don't know, crazy controversial to say. My ego might kick in and say, based on the superego, that might be a problem for me. So let me not do that. And my amygdala is going, predator, fear, shame, guilt, problem. Maybe I shouldn't do that. My ego is navigating that. This is your logical mind. This is your feeling mind. Okay? Your emotional mind. So here's what happens a lot of the time in life. If you've seen my videos before, I talk a lot about canceling out charges, canceling out the things that you think are good and bad, right? Canceling out your fears and your fantasies, your shames and your guilts and your prides, canceling these things out, which allows you to become more enlightened, okay? A electron, which is a negatively charged particle, and a positron, which is a positively charged particle, when they slam together, they create gamma rays, which creates light, which means you are more enlightened. If you look at somebody who goes through a process of clearing out negative and positive charges in the mind, you will see on a brain scan that their brain lights up because they have become more enlightened, okay? When you become more enlightened, you activate the prefrontal cortex, which is the executive center of the mind, which allows you to strategize, plan, see what can go wrong, see what can go right, and make a move. Boom. Here's the thing. The 1% use this part of the mind. If you have constantly been told to get rid of your ego, you will not activate this part of the mind. You will have to live and try to figure out how to ascend your life using this part of the mind. Using the id part of the mind, the amygdala part of the mind, the animal part of the mind. Now here's the thing. You need both.
I literally was about to say that.
Yes. People might watch me and think like, yo, I never need to live in my amygdala ever. Oh my gosh, like it's the most terrible thing. I always need to be in the prefrontal cortex. Let me tell you something. At the end of the day, any decision you make is amygdala based. You cannot live without your amygdala, okay? Because your amygdala keeps you alive. You will step into traffic without your amygdala, okay? But you do need the prefrontal cortex to strategize and have a plan and go after things logically in a way that makes them happen.
That's what I have you for. I'm joking. But seriously, because I was like feeling like being pregnant, there's certain things like logically you wouldn't know, doesn't make sense, but you just have a feeling or like this knowing internally, and then you kind of have to advocate for yourself in that note. And then they're like, oh yeah, we see something coming up on your blood work or whatever, and then that's when the logic comes in, and that's when that other side of the brain comes in. But it started and it was signaled as just a feeling. So like you definitely do have to use both.
You have to use both. You have to use both. The problem is too many people live here. They live down here constantly and they get stuck, right? They get stuck, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So here's the thing too, because a lot of people have come to my channel for manifestation related things. It just shows you the polarity of the universe, okay? You can manifest using feeling, using amygdala-based things because your unconscious projects down and creates your reality, okay? Your unconscious does that. Your unconscious does this, projects down, and this is the life you live due to the charges you have, which creates the decisions that you choose to make, and your life is built upon the decisions you make. Your frequency is built upon the decisions you make, right? Frequency, we got fast and slow and all the different rates of vibration, right? Your decisions are gonna dictate your frequency. When you cancel out charges, it's gonna dictate your frequency, your level of awareness, your level of enlightenment. Now, I'm just gonna show you the polarity of the universe at work at all times. Most of the people talking to you about manifestation are gonna tell you do it here because it appeals to the masses. It's emotional, right? Neville Goddard's teaching is amygdala based for the most part because he has you tap into the feeling, feel what you would feel, embrace that, and go about your day. And it taps into your subconscious, boom, it projects into your reality. That'll work for 99% of people. But you're not gonna become top 1% only doing that. The top 1% utilize the prefrontal cortex. They utilize more enlightenment, right? So if you wanna be in the 1%, you're gonna activate the light in your mind, the enlightenment in your mind, your purpose, mission, and vision, right? Purpose, mission, vision, and you're gonna have a level of mastery over your life. This is why there's a very small percentage of people who run the world, top 1%, for a reason, because they're utilizing this, allowing it to project down through the different levels of the mind, eventually hitting their unconscious, and then making a decision. Now, here is the trick of society. The trick of society, they're constantly telling you not to have an ego. They're constantly telling you the ego is the enemy, ego death, get rid of your ego, because they really have no idea what it means. They have no idea what it is. The ego is simply the logical mind. So if you're listening to people, right, and they're telling you to get rid of your ego and the ego is the enemy, understand they're casting a spell on you that's trying to turn you stupid. Like, basically, because they don't want you utilizing any more logic. Now, this is not necessarily their fault. They're just misinformed about what they're talking about. They read it in a book somewhere from somebody else who read it in some book and didn't understand what they were talking about. They didn't know. So I don't blame them for kind of misguiding the masses. The funny thing is, right, we've been watching this stuff about the Diddy trial, right? And a lot of people would say, well, Diddy has a massive ego. No.
He definitely doesn't. It's Tootsie size.
Wow, you're dissing. Yo. Anyways, a lot of people would say that Diddy has big ego. But if you look at what's occurred throughout the trial and the sort of things he was into and the things that people might consider depraved, right? This is somebody very id-driven. He was very id-driven, very animalistically driven, not ego-driven. If he was activating the prefrontal cortex in those situations, he would have thought ahead and been like, this might come back to bite me. I have not mitigated my risk, because he was living in the animalistic mind.
It did not mitigate his risk, seeing as he put Zuli Denter on his back, or the Black Madonna, whatever you want to call her, whatever name. It was the wrong sister. That girl deals with people who abuse women, like literally helps them to leave those situations and tries to go and kill them, unalive them.
Yeah.
So he picked the wrong sister, because he should have picked Frida, because Frida Zuli is more about, sex workers and what's the correct term?
Homosexuals?
Yes, homosexuals. She protects homosexuals and sex workers. And I feel like that would have been more in alignment with what he was actually going for.
So Diddy has a tattoo of a voodoo goddess that basically protects abused women and harms the men who abuse them. That's tattooed on his back.
Yeah, he definitely didn't use the logical side of his brain to...
It's very interesting.
Or someone set him up, because...
It's very, very interesting. That definitely has a spiritual realm element to it. It's very interesting. But He wasn't using the prefrontal cortex. He was running with the id, and he used the instances of him using his prefrontal cortex to get rich was simply to fulfill his animalistic nature. But we all do that. Maybe not to the extent of him, but we all do that. We all get money to survive. We all do what we do to fulfill our animalistic natures.
Truth.
But I just want you to understand, don't get put under the spell thinking the ego is the enemy. That's your true self. It's your logical self. That's the enlightened self. Be very careful. But here's the thing. People could be like, Seth, well, that's just semantics. Okay, people just got the word wrong. Okay? Sure, but I think words are very powerful. Spelling, spells for a reason. I think words are quite powerful. What people are often talking about when they're talking about the ego is actually pride. Mm-hmm. It's pride, okay? And you need to be very, very careful with pride. There are also people out there telling you, be proud of yourself, be proud of yourself, be proud of yourself. Listen, pride is a polarized emotion that makes you feel good. So yeah, if somebody makes you feel proud or you feel proud of yourself, you're gonna feel good. And you're gonna get put into this swing, this side, this positive elation, but you don't understand the concept of rhythm. So I gotta draw a line through this. Okay, there is a pendulum, cosmic pendulum, as my mentor Lewis Mocker calls it. Cosmic pendulum, the fifth hermetic law of the universe, rhythm. The pendulum swing to the left is the pendulum swing to the right. So if you have a whole bunch of pride, your pendulum swing to shame and guilt is going to be massive. And the only reason why you have so much pride is because you have a high level of shame and guilt. Once again, look at the Diddy case again, right? Diddy, whole bunch of pride, right? I'm that guy. I can do anything. So proud that he thinks people owe him, which I'm going to get to, right? Pride, but why? Because he has a level of shame and guilt. If you know what he was into in terms of voyeurism and these sorts of things, he didn't want people looking at him when these freak-offs were happening. He didn't want people looking at him because he had a level of shame. That's why he had so much pride. Rhythm. So you need to be careful with people who are telling you to be proud. And here's the thing, you don't escape it. We all have these emotions. You just need to be aware of them and understand when you're in a moment of pride, because as Proverbs says, pride cometh before a fall and a haughty spirit before a defeat. Why is that? Because when you are proud, I need to demonstrate it this way. When you're proud and you're on an up, right? You're proud, yay. There is a future projection that occurs. Okay? Future projection, which will lead to narcissism. Okay? Narcissism. Whoa. Let me just put NRC as usual, because I just feel like I'm gonna spell narcissism wrong and then I'll be shamed and have guilt and I won't be proud about that. So, so you feel proud. Projected into the future, you will now have narcissism. So what did people say about Diddy? Oh, he's so narcissistic. Where does narcissism come from? In the past, you were proud about things, okay? And when you are proud, you think people owe you things because of the balance of the universe. You think, oh, because I did this in the past, I'm so good, other people owe me. To the point where you think everyone owes you. And then you have narcissism. This is the fall. Pride cometh before a fall. So when people are talking about ego on the internet, understand most of the time they're talking about pride. And pride is a very real danger in reality. Now, pride does not make you more aware, and your frequency is determined by your awareness. As we all know. Yeah, man, you guys are seeing the same diagram all the time because this is how the universe operates, and I can use it to explain many, 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 many things. So, see, that was a moment of pride. I'm proud of my diagram. And then someone in the comments might come and say, hey, you say the same thing all the time. To balance me out. Shame, guilt, right? That's the way of the universe. That's what the haters are for. But anyways, pride does not make you more aware. Awareness is what dictates your reality, right? Your level of awareness is going to be able to determine what you can do in reality. Your level of awareness is your frequency. Pride just makes you feel good. But how do you become more aware? Become more aware through the feeling of gratitude. Gratitude is when you realize that you had pride and you had shame, and you cancel out the charges, like I said before, when an electron and positron meet, bang, and you get enlightenment. Up here is also often referred to as the light. The all is referred to as the light sometimes. So that's how that operates. You don't want to be living in pride. It is fine to have an ego because it brings you closer to enlightenment, because you need to use your logical mind and make the unconscious conscious in order to become more enlightened. And then you change your reality because you change your awareness. And the more aware you are, the more you can bend reality to your will. With that being said, I'm going to be going live on YouTube frequently. I'm not sure when I'm going to start, so you're going to have to get on my newsletter or get my Value Finder tool. You'll also get added to the newsletter. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification, whatever those YouTube-y things are. And I'll be going live, and I will help you guys directly with your questions about changing your reality. That being said, from me and Wifey, peace.